the access and the connections and the ability to do so many creative things in this world and make a living doing it is incredible. Anytime I see somebody handcrafting a table on Etsy, right, I'm just like, that person is probably so happy. They're just so happy. The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. So that's pretty cool. And I think as we wrap up the year, I think something that can really help students is a question. If you won the Mega Millions, if you won the lottery tomorrow, the big one, right, where money was no longer an object, you can buy anything you want, go anywhere you want, do anything you want, and you just didn't have to worry about money. How would you spend your days? What would you spend your time doing? And why this is so incredibly important to me right now is because I've been on an entrepreneurial pursuit for the last 8 years of my life. Never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Never thought I was going to run a small business. And 2015 rolled around and I fell in love with entrepreneurship. And I read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and part of it was that everything was open and available to me. I realized that there really was no gatekeepers. If I wanted, to source a product, I can easily do that tomorrow. If I wanted to make a website, no problem. If I wanted, there was nothing I had to wait on, nobody I had to check in with, and I can do it. And through the last 8 years, I've had a business that has been focused on one sole thing, and that's helping people become better versions of themselves. Now, throughout the 8 years, things have changed and tweaked, and some people might look at it as completely different businesses, and maybe it is in a way, but in my mind, not necessarily so much. Yes, there were physical products involved. There was the time where I was specifically working with musicians, and there was the online courses where I'm still going to be offering those throughout my life. But when I decided, because speaking was always a part of the business, but when I decided to make speaking the majority of the business and the full focus and working with high school students, things changed. Because when I asked that question on all my past, let's call them my past businesses, and I said, would I still do this if I won the lottery? And you know what? I don't have to tell you, students today are way too stressed, overwhelmed, and anxious about their lives and their futures. This is why I do what I do. As a youth speaker, I teach students to step back from the situation, see the choices they have in front of them, make great decisions, and build positive patterns around this process. Whether it's substance abuse, bullying, or stress about their digital lives, the students I've worked with have had some great success. So I want to work with your students. I want to come down to your school and your event and actually teach your students the art and the science of making great decisions. So click the link below and schedule your call with me so I can learn a little bit more about what you're looking for in your next speaker. What? The answer was no. The answer was no. No, I wouldn't be selling music stand lights on Amazon. No, I wouldn't be creating courses on productivity for adults. No, I wouldn't. What would I do instead? Well, I'd play music. That's what I do. I'd play music. But then everything converged, and everything, when I say the stars aligned, because my background, my college education is as an educator, is K through 12 music teacher. So love teaching, love music, love kids. I love performing in a way. And all those things are what I get to do as a youth speaker. So when I ask myself if I would still do what I'm doing, if I would still speak to high school students on decision making and resiliency and willpower if I won the lottery, Absolutely. And I'm grinning ear to ear because that's almost impossible. It's almost impossible in your life, in people's lives, to come across that. And I know I am one in a million. But that, for students, is a really good question because they have yet to decide what to do. And even up to, be honest with you, even in your entire 20s, if you're not sure exactly what you want to do and you change and do this and do that, it's really okay because you're super young and you're going to live for a lot longer than our grandparents did, right? Granted, money's an issue, right? We can't be spending thousands of dollars on education here, and then that degree doesn't mean anything. I get it. That's a tough situation. But the question is, how do you want to spend the minutes of your days? How do your kids want to spend their time in their life? Because if they figure that out, oh man, it's just awesome. It's awesome. And here's the thing. I am one in a million. I am a what do they call it? Like when you're really rare, I don't know, I'm a really rare situation, right? But even if you get 90% there, even if you really, really love what you do, but maybe we wouldn't do it as much or something, that's still amazing. Most of us are like 90-10 the other way. Like 10% of our jobs, it's fine. But 90% of us, 90% of that equation would be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that if I win the lottery. And again, I understand I don't want to make this, for anybody listening, I don't want to make this I don't want to make you feel bad, but that's what we want to establish with our kids. That's what we want to teach them, that it is possible. And especially now, thanks to this thing and thanks to the internet. I know that makes me sound old, but it's true. When I was growing up, we didn't have, it was here, right? The internet, at scale internet was at 93. I was born in 87. So I was in elementary and middle school when the internet, was not even a thing. Like you would go there and you'd be like, I'm going to look at information, like the information superhighway. But now you could do whatever you want. Granted, that's a very entrepreneurial thing, but still, the access and the connections and the ability to do so many creative things in this world and make a living doing it is incredible. Anytime I see somebody handcrafting a table on Etsy, right, I'm just like, that person is probably so happy. They're just so happy. So that's the conversation that I'd like to have you think about as we move into the new year, because this is the time where we as adults, we kind of reflect and we set our goals and we do this. Our students in high school may not necessarily be reflecting so much, but sometimes they'll take a look back and say, how was the year? But I think it's a really, really important question, and I think it's really, really good for students to just keep in the back of their mind, and anything that they think and say, yeah, but just X that out right away. Just cancel that right and close their mouth and say, no. There is no yeah, but, because first of all, you're already limiting it right there. I want to be professional basketball player. Okay, cool. I want to play in the NBA. Yeah, but okay, right. Yeah, but you're not. You're 5'8". Okay, maybe not. But you can't ever say yeah, but, because you have to figure out what are the possibilities first. And there was a reason why, I'm going to date myself, but there's a reason why Muggsy Bogues was who he was. So what do we do from there? Okay, maybe I can host a podcast and talk about my favorite team, the Lakers, between a specific year. It'd be so niche because that's what I love to do. And it's not necessarily, I didn't even realize it was not necessarily just playing basketball. I still love playing basketball, but I just love everything about basketball, and then all of a sudden you've got yourself a successful podcast. Now, and granted, as you know, it's a lot harder than just talking into a microphone. I don't make money from my podcast, but either way, it's the conversation, and I think it's a really good one for students to have. And it's, as we wrap up here, it's something that you should also reflect as well. It's never too late to make a change. Never. I am 36 years old. I'm not young. I'm not old, definitely not, but I'm not young. You can see the grays starting to come in. And I have just recently, over the last few years, found out what I want to do when I grow up, right? So, please have this conversation with your students as we wrap up the year. I think it's a good conversation the next couple of days before, with all your time, because no work is getting done. We all know that. And I definitely would love to hear how that goes. So please let me know. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your students are going to be able to really think through that, or at least begin the process. If you like today's episode, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification to be notified every time I release a new video. And if you like today's episode, then you'll also probably like this one right over here.